Imagine two people earning almost the same salary, living in the same city, and looking at the exact same house. One says, renting is throwing money away. The other says, buying is the only way to build wealth. Both sound convincing, but what if both are wrong? Welcome to Dollar Den. Today we're going to follow two people through one of the biggest financial decisions they will ever make, renting versus buying a home. Meet Dollar Den and Ryan. Dollar Den is the host of our story. He doesn't tell Ryan what to do, he simply follows the money. Ryan earns $80,000 a year. After taxes and deductions, his monthly take-home pay is roughly $5,000. He has some savings, but not enough to feel rich. He currently rents a comfortable apartment for $2,000 a month. Then, one Saturday, Ryan sees a house for $400,000. It looks perfect. 2 bedrooms, a small backyard, a quiet neighborhood, and the real estate agent says something that changes Ryan's thinking. Instead of paying rent forever, you could be building equity. Ryan looks at Dollar Den and says, "That's it. I'm done renting." Dollar Den smiles. Maybe. But let's run the numbers first. Ryan has $40,000 saved. The house requires a 10% down payment, $40,000. That sounds simple, but the $40,000 doesn't make the house his for free. There are closing costs, moving costs, inspections, insurance, property taxes, repairs, and then comes the mortgage. Suppose Ryan finances $360,000 at a 6.5% interest rate for 30 years. His principal and interest payment alone would be around $2,275 a month. But that's not the whole payment. Add property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and maintenance, and the real monthly cost could easily move toward $3,000 or more. Ryan freezes. Wait, I thought the mortgage was $2,275. Dollar Den points at the screen. That is the mortgage payment, not the total cost of owning the house. And this is where the story gets interesting. Because when people compare rent to a mortgage, they often compare one number against another. Rent, $2,000. Mortgage, $2,275. Only $275 more. So buying must be better, right? Not necessarily. Ryan would also have to maintain the property. A broken water heater doesn't call the landlord. A leaking roof doesn't call the landlord. A damaged air conditioner doesn't call the landlord. The owner pays. Let's say Ryan sets aside about 1% of the home's value each year for maintenance. On a $400,000 house, that's roughly $4,000 a year, or about $333 a month. Now the gap gets much bigger. And there is another cost almost nobody talks about at the kitchen table. The money Ryan puts into the house could have been invested somewhere else. His $40,000 down payment is no longer sitting in a savings account or investment portfolio. That's called opportunity cost. Ryan looks confused. So you're saying buying a house can be expensive even when the house goes up in value? Exactly, says Dollar Den. A house can be a great asset, but an asset can still be expensive to own. Now let's look at the other side. Ryan's friend, Marcus, keeps renting. Marcus pays $2,000 a month. He doesn't build home equity, but he also doesn't need $40,000 for a down payment. He can keep his savings invested. He has more flexibility if his job changes, and when something breaks, he calls the landlord. Ryan laughs. That's nice, but after 30 years, I'll own a house, and Marcus will own nothing. Dollar Den turns around. That's only true if we stop the math at the house. Because Marcus has been investing the difference. And now we have a real comparison. Not rent versus mortgage. We have two complete financial lives. One person puts more money into a house, the other puts more money into investments. And the winner depends on what happens over time. That is the part most viral housing advice leaves out. And remember one more thing. The monthly payment is not the same thing as the monthly cost. That single distinction can change the entire decision. If Ryan can comfortably afford the house even after taxes, insurance, maintenance, and an emergency reserve, ownership may make sense. But if the payment leaves him with no room to breathe, the house can become a financial prison. A beautiful house is still a bad deal if it destroys your ability to save, invest, and handle emergencies. Dollar Den writes one final number on the board before they continue. Total cost. That, he says, is the number we need to compare. Now Dollar Den takes out a calculator. Let's imagine the house rises in value by 3% a year. Ryan smiles. Then I win. Slow down, says Dollar Den. A $400,000 home growing at 3% annually could be worth roughly $970,000 after 30 years. That sounds incredible, but Ryan doesn't receive $970,000 in cash today. He has paid interest for decades. He has paid taxes. He has paid insurance. He has paid maintenance. He has paid closing costs. And he has tied a large amount of his wealth to one property in one location. Still, there is something powerful about ownership. As Ryan pays down the mortgage, his equity grows. Eventually, the mortgage disappears. Rent doesn't disappear. If Marcus is still renting after 30 years, his rent could be dramatically higher than the $2,000 he started with. That is the strongest argument for buying. But now comes the twist. Ryan doesn't know if he will stay in the city for 30 years. His company could move. He could change careers. He could get married. He could have children. He could decide he hates the neighborhood. And selling a house isn't free. There can be agent commissions, closing costs, repairs before selling, and taxes depending on the situation. So if Ryan buys today and moves in 3 years, the house may not have enough time to overcome those transaction costs. Dollar Den looks directly at the camera. And this is why the question isn't, is buying better than renting? The better question is, which choice is better for your situation, your numbers, and your timeline? If you plan to stay for a long time, buying can become much more attractive. If you move frequently, renting can be incredibly valuable. If your income is unstable, a huge mortgage can become dangerous. If you have a large emergency fund and stable income, ownership may be easier to handle. And if the home is far beyond what you can comfortably afford, the word investment doesn't magically make the payment affordable. Here's another mistake people make. They assume every dollar of rent is wasted. That's not true. Rent buys something too. It buys flexibility. It buys convenience. It transfers many repair risks to the landlord. And it lets you live somewhere without committing hundreds of thousands of dollars to one asset. On the other hand, buying buys stability, control, and the possibility of building equity. Neither side gets everything. So what should Ryan do? Dollar Den doesn't give him a simple yes or no. Instead, he gives Ryan 5 questions. Number 1. How long will you realistically stay? Number 2. Can you afford the total cost, not just the mortgage? Number 3. Do you have an emergency fund after the down payment? Number 4. What could your down payment and monthly savings earn if invested? And number 5. Are you buying a home you can afford or a lifestyle you want to impress people with? Ryan looks back at the house. It still looks beautiful. But now he sees something different. He doesn't just see a kitchen, a backyard, and a mortgage payment. He sees a 30-year financial decision. And that changes everything. Maybe Ryan buys the house. Maybe he rents for 5 more years and invests aggressively. Either choice can work. The dangerous choice is making the decision because somebody on the internet said, rent is throwing money away. Or because somebody else said, buying a house is always a bad investment. Personal finance is rarely that simple. The smartest move isn't the one that sounds richest. It's the one that keeps your finances strong when life doesn't go according to plan. So before you sign a lease, run the numbers. Before you sign a mortgage, run them again. And remember, a house is not automatically a good financial decision just because it is a house. It's a good decision when the price, payment, timeline, and opportunity cost make sense for you. And there is one final lesson. Don't let a calculator make the decision for you, but never make the decision without a calculator. Your home should support your financial life, not consume it. Because the goal isn't simply to own a house. The goal is to build a life you can actually afford. This is Dollar Den. And if you want money explained through real stories instead of complicated financial jargon, stay with us. Because sometimes the biggest financial mistake isn't choosing the wrong option. It's choosing an option without doing the math.